Hi everybody, I'm Carla, the food lady, and this is my daughter, Alex.
Hi.
The food daughter, I like to say. We wanted to thank all the people that voted and had a say in our contest for 3 different food items that we could make for you. The gluten-free chocolate cake, the cupcakes with raspberry icing, and the peach upside down cake. So we're here to tell you which of those won and which one are we going to make for you right now.
Okay. Peach upside down cake.
There it is.
One.
Yay! Okay, so we're excited about this. I don't know if you've made upside down cakes before, but it's not a new thing. Peach might be new for some people. I think the more traditional tends to be the pineapple version, but really you can actually use a lot of different types of fruits. However, I also wanted to bring something new to you, which was just being able to use some products that might not be necessarily in season, but we can still incorporate them into some really tasty food products that incorporate eggs. And of course, I'm always a big fan of making sure that you know that eggs are local in Manitoba. So if anytime you're buying eggs, you're going to be supporting the whole growing local, buying local movement. So I want you to feel good about that, hopefully. So today we're going to take you through this whole peach upside down cake process, and don't be afraid, because I think you'll do really well with this, and it's an exceptionally tasty cake. So I'm just going to show you something. I actually do this all the time. So I printed this off of the Manitoba Egg Farmers website, so it's the recipe for the peach upside down cake. And then I always take all my recipes and put them in this plasticky cover. Then that way when we're cooking, and we've been doing this since you were really little, yeah, and then that way if you get stuff on it, you just have to wipe it off, and I still have it. And then any of my recipes I really like, I just put them into a binder, and then I kind of keep collecting them. So we have actually several of these different egg recipes that we use, and this is one that we have. So we're going to take you through this whole process. So we'll follow it along. We'll just pretend that we're doing just like you and you got this recipe. So we've got all of our ingredients, which we found in advance, obviously. If you have the recipe as well, hopefully in advance, you're going to see all the different things that we have. If you got it, well, I guess you wouldn't have it in advance because this is not live. But you can walk through this and we'll make sure that you know what you need to add and how much of it you need. So first thing I do, which I forget often, is to...
Do you remember heat the oven?
Preheat the oven, yes. I'm so terrible for that. So let's look and see. It says 350 degrees. So just a few things I'll tell you is that I took these out about 30 minutes before we started baking. I like to take the eggs out around that time frame. One, it still stays within food safety guidelines. And when the eggs become closer to room temperature or at room temperature, they will allow this baked product to be a lot fluffier when you make it. And that can also be the case for milk or dairy as well, so the butter as well as the buttermilk that we're going to use. It's not always the case for these items because it depends on what you're making. So whenever you're reading a recipe, and if it tells you to have something at room temperature, there's a reason for it. If it doesn't call for it though, it's not something you necessarily want to do. But with the eggs, the room temperature will certainly allow for a fluffier product. It allows for more air to be incorporated into the process, so you get a puffier cake, which is always nice. All right, so a few ingredients that we're going to put together. So we have to actually start by making the sauce that's going to be on the top of the cake. And so, Alex, do you want to maybe do that now with the saucepan? So what are you going to put in the saucepan?
The 3 tablespoons of butter.
Okay, so
First.
that.
It says medium heat, right?
It says to saucepan over medium heat. So you're going to turn the saucepan on to medium heat. Important that you follow that because, again, you don't want to burn the ingredients. So we've got the butter in. Next is the brown sugar. So we're looking at half a cup of that.
You have to wait for this stuff.
Okay, so that's just melting a bit, and you're going to stir it the whole time. So you want to use something that you can stir with. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And while she's doing that, I'm just going to grab a measuring cup that I thought I took out, but I did not. Okay, so just going to melt the butter while I get the brown sugar ready. So there was 3 tablespoons of 3 tablespoons of butter, and then we're going to use brown sugar. And this brown sugar, we're doing a half of a cup for that. So however you want to measure it out. I keep it in the bag. I think it gets kind of hard otherwise. We all have our own ways of doing things, I guess. So you decide how you want to do it. And I'll get out my half cup measure. That's going to basically be added right into the saucepan for Alyx. How you doing, Alyx?
Good.
You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Surviving.
Yeah. Okay, now the recipe doesn't ask for you to pack it down, so I'm not going to. I kind of left it a little bit loose. This can go back into there. All right, here's the half cup that Alyx will eventually use. I'm just going to put it on the side here so we don't have any problems. All right, so she'll just finish that up. How's it melting okay?
Yep, it's almost done.
So Alyx has put the 3 tablespoons of butter and the half a cup of brown sugar into the saucepan. You need to keep stirring it for 2 minutes. And then once 2 minutes is reached, which we just keep track above our stove there, then you will stop, and then we'll use the next we'll move on to the next process. So while she's doing that, now some of you might be by yourselves and you can do this, finish that, and then move on to this. But because there's 2 of us, I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about the peaches that we're going to use for the cake. So in the recipe itself, it does tell you you can use fresh peaches or you can use canned. So we've decided to make it with canned because one, peaches are not in season right now, so it can be a little bit more difficult for some people to find. And also I just wanted to showcase to you that you can use different varieties of fruits in different forms to make some of these products. And so what I did was I drained these. I bought peaches that were canned in water. It's up to you what you want to do. You can still get ones in syrup, but you're actually adding some sugar to the recipe, so you probably don't need all that extra sugar, says the dietitian in me, so don't do that. But it's up to you, whatever you prefer. So we've made it with and we've made it without, and it was really sweet when we made it with the peaches in the syrup. So I like going this route. So I've let it drain because we don't want the topping to end up being really wet when we make the cake, and so then it'll eventually make the cake wet. So we've drained it off. You can do the same as well, kind of leave it sit for a bit. And while this is finishing, I just kind of set it aside. It's going to keep dripping and getting rid of some of the juices. And then we're going to use it in a few minutes as soon as this is done.
2 minutes is
all right. Actually, we're at our 2 minutes. Okay, all done, Alyx?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to take the heat off and turn the stove off. Sometimes we forget that, but lately we've been getting better.
She forgets that. I always remember.
Alyx, come on now. Don't say it's just me. Okay. All right. So now you're going to take, it says this calls for a 9-inch pan. So not only, this should be 9 inches because I actually measured it just to be sure. A lot of times it doesn't actually say on there other than when you buy the item. Anyway, this is what that looks like. But I will say this, if it's just a slight bit bigger, there's 8 inches actually as well, and there's 10. So you could use either one. It just means the cake would be a little bit flatter, or if you use the smaller one, it would be a bit puffier. If you use the too small though, the batter won't fit in it. I know that because I've made this cake and it's really comes to the top. So something to keep in mind. The other thing is my mom used to always make this type of a cake, a pineapple one, and it was always square. So if you have square, you can use square. It's not going to be the end of the world. So we're ready to go. You'll notice that we did not grease this because there's enough going on in the topping. So Alyx, you want to go ahead and let them know what you're doing here?
So I'm just putting all the stuff from the saucepan into the pan. Try and scrape it as best as you can, I guess.
So here we've got all kinds of sugar and a bit of butter. You can see it's a bit caramel in color.
Oh.
Yeah, that felt great. All good. It's okay. Alyx, don't start laughing as I...
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm fine. I'm tough. Don't do that at home, by the way. Okay, let me put that here. All right, so now remember how we have to spread that around. So it's a little bit stiff. So go ahead, yeah. So you're going to want to use a spatula. I use a small one when we've done this before because the bigger it is, the clunkier it is. It's not a big space. So go ahead, Alyx. Remember how we did that? We just spread it around. Try to keep it fairly even because you want a big pile of sugar in one spot and not in the other. You want it all over. So try not to miss any spots. There you go, Alyx. For those that care, I'm totally okay.
You can do it.
That's fine.
You can do it. It's too hard.
You find that too hard?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You kids, eh? All right, so here we go. I'm just trying, I just spread it as best I can the first time around and make sure that if there's any spots that are kind of too much or not enough, you can just spread it a bit. So because there's butter in there, it's pretty smooth. You don't need to add any, you don't need to spray your spatula or anything. You probably could use the back of, if you don't have a spatula, you probably could use the back of like a spoon. You could probably do that, but this, I think, if you have a spatula, is probably the better way to go. All right. Okay, well, a bit of sugar ball there. It's all right, that'll taste good later. All right. Okay, so let's put that aside. So now that's it. Okay, so spread out, not too bad. Okay, so now we want to take the peaches. And we've made this a few times, we need that.
Oh.
And do you remember we put the peaches on, and then first we've made it before, we didn't put enough peaches. So whatever you see, what you put down here is what that cake is going to look like on top. So if you want to make a smiley face out of your peaches, that's what you're going to see. If you want to pile it up with a whole bunch cascading peaches, then that's what you're going to see on the top of your cake. All right. So let's go for it and put as much as you want. So I just want to show you as Alyx gets started. What I also like about the canned peaches is that when you have a look, they usually are going to cut them all the same. And so it's going to be helpful for when you make your cake, because it is nice when they're roughly about the same thickness. So you can do them thinner or thicker. It's really up to you. And then just set them around whatever pattern you want. So if you're someone who likes shape and order, then we're setting it kind of a cascade, but you can set them however you like. I'm going to join in here as well. There's no real right way to do it. Just get them going. Okay, so you can see here we've actually put all the peaches in and made a nice shape. That's what we liked. I just want to let you know how much peaches did we use. So if you're going to buy fresh peaches, you need 4. And you would peel them and slice them however you like. Now, keeping in mind, you should peel them, but I have seen people leave the peel on. It's really kind of up to you. And if you're going to buy a canned variety or in a container, this one here, as I said, I got the no sugar added one, so it's packed in its own water, or sorry, its own juices, or it's packed in water. And so we went with a 540 ml. That's what you see here. However, the recipe itself actually calls for 398 milliliters. So you can use either one. We just chose, because we've made it before, we know we want more peaches, but that's up to you. It's really kind of your own thing. I always say make something once, give it a whirl. I always use the recipe exactly as it is the first time, and then I make some, we kind of talk about it, and that's exactly what we said the last time. We're like, oh, this could use some more peaches, we thought. So we're going to put them in, right? Yeah, that's what we did. Okay, so now at this point, this guy's done, and we can kind of set it aside, which we will do. So we'll set it up there. I wouldn't set it down on your stove in case there's a bit of heat coming off of, sometimes when you turn the oven on, the top part can get a bit warm. So don't set it there, because you've got, you don't want to start the cooking process or melting it more than it needs to be. So now we're going to move into making the cake part. And this is where we get to put in our eggs and start using those for the goodness that they offer us. So we're going to do the wet ingredients first. Or should we do the dry? It says to actually do the dry ingredients. So let's get the bigger bowl. So at home, if you have a bigger sized bowl, and we'll show you, it doesn't have to be clear, but that's what we have. Now we're going to start putting in our dry ingredients, which Alyx is really good at. So we're going to get her to do it. So first of all, you're going to do 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So that's what we have here, whatever variety you choose to buy. Okay, so this is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, so she smoothed it out with the top of the bag, but you can totally do that. That's called make and do with what you have. If not, you can use this. Yeah, so show them another way that you might do it.
So, without trying to spill it,
or if you do,
you can just use like the back of the knife. I think I explained this before, but you just go like that and go across the top.
There we go.
And yeah, that's it.
There you go. So that's 1 cup, and now you need to do another half. So we're going to just use a separate, just to make sure we get it right. Oh, here's the other half. There you go. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead and use that. It's just us.
I'm just gonna use my hands so I don't spill again.
And all of us are different, right? Some of us are really clean bakers. Some of us are messy. We're not too bad, depending on the day. If you've seen us before, we have spilled sugar. But anyway, we try our best. But you know, that's okay. As long as you're cleaning up your own mess anyway. So if that's what you want to do, then have at it. All right, so we got the flour in. So give that maybe a little bit of a, I like to use a fork to sort of separate all the dry ingredients a little bit. So now we've got the next item that we need, which is another dry ingredient. So you're going to put all the dry ingredients in here. Next step is the baking powder. So we've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder, whatever you choose to buy. So we've got the measuring teaspoons there. 2 teaspoons, yeah. This one here, I think you should use the knife if you're going to, if you need to. You don't want to be putting more of this. If you put too much baking soda or baking powder whenever a recipe calls for it, you can really taste it. It can give bitter tastes. It can give funny tastes to things. Okay, cleaning that off. Very good. All right, so that's 2 teaspoons. So again, I like to take the fork and just sort of toss those things around so they kind of all get mixed a little bit together and they're not clumped in one spot. All right, so we've got some of the dry ingredients that were called for. Again, just following along the recipe from the Manitoba Egg Farmers. So we're setting that aside, and we're going to now do the next step, which it says here that we need to put in a large bowl. So I'm putting it in this because we need to pour it. We need to mix the two eventually. But you're going to do the butter. So we've got half a cup of butter that's going to be put in. So you can use your fork or, yep, there you go. Excellent. And we're also going to be adding in some regular or granulated white sugar. And for that one, we're adding 3/4 of a cup. We do have issues with this sometimes spilling. Just a heads up. Okay, so 3/4 of a cup. Now this isn't too bad because we can actually fit that thing in there. Perfect. Better than normal, right? Okay. Dust that thing off there. You don't want too much. All right, there you go. And good. Good job, Alyx. Okay, you need 2 more of those. You good? Oh dear. Excellent. Good. Good measuring. Remember me always saying that to you when you're little? No? Oh. Wasted. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Okay, so that's it. That's all you're gonna need the white sugar for, so we can put a lid on that. Now, so in this you're gonna now actually, whoops, sorry, just gonna shake it up. Okay, so now that you've got these two separated, this one's going to stay aside. We're going to actually take a mixer and get the sugar and the butter to blend together into a bit of a kind of a creamy mixture. Okay, so we're just going to grab our mixer, which is here. All right, so we've got the butter and the sugar together, so we want to cream them together. Alyx has some sort of issues with mixers apparently, so I'm going to do it. Oh, for goodness sakes, clearly I do too. Look at this. Oh, I love it. Okay, put that back in there. Alyx, get over here. Okay, so I have this. I bought this, I think it was like $2. And it's just basically allows for not everything to go all over the whole house when you're using your mixer. Sometimes it still does. But anyway, this is what I do. So I put this on here. There's different ways you can go about doing this. If you don't care, then don't worry about covering it up. I remember before I bought this, I think I used saran wrap and tried some sort of concoction that way. Be honest, nothing
Don't
really.
try that.
Yeah. No. Okay, so here we go. Sorry, kind of loud. See that? Okay. I'm going to mix it until it gets creamy. What? Just kidding. Okay. Woo-hoo. Okay. All right, so I like to think that's fairly creamy, but what I do usually is I'll take a spatula and you can just check on it to see if it's all kind of blended together. All right, so we made it light and fluffy, which is what you see here. Now, we need to add in our glorious eggs, which are right here, and you're gonna do one at a time. So when you put one in, you're gonna blend it in with the mixture that's there, and then once that's in, then you're gonna add the second egg. And so as I said, these have both been sitting out for about 30 minutes, so it's good to go close to room temperature. I think if you've watched any of our other videos, what I've told you before is that if you have an egg that's, you don't have the time, and maybe you're just starting this now and you think, oh, I didn't have 30 minutes to take out the egg. You could, and don't use super hot, use lightly warm water, and you can run the eggs under it for a few minutes and it will bring the temperature of the egg down. Or you can leave it sit in a bowl and put slightly warm water as well and let it sit, and it'll bring it down in a lot faster than that 30 minutes, okay? All right, so Alex, you're gonna crack that guy and plop it. We just do this, we kind of just plop it in once it's ready. Okay, let me get going. One. Look at that, eh? Oh yeah. Okay, so now we have the batter, if you will, the cake batter. So if you have a look at this, I love the color. That's thank you to the eggs. Has created this really nice, really kind of light yellow, and this is kind of what the inside of the cake is basically going to look like. So it looks really nice once it all comes together. All right, so we have here the eggs, the butter, and the white sugar. That's what we've put in here. Now you are going to add a little bit of vanilla as well, so we'll do that in a second. But I just want to point out that so you now have two bowls. You got this one with the wet ingredients, this one with the dry, and we're going to start adding the dry into the wet shortly. And I want to let you know that you don't want to do it too fast and you don't want to over stir it. If you do that, I don't know if you've ever had cake or muffins or anything like that where the inside's either really tough or kind of a texture that's not the most pleasant inside. That could be because you've either over stirred the item or added it in too fast. And these are a couple of different things that could happen. So whenever you're reading a recipe and it tells you to do it slowly and to just stir enough, I've even seen some recipes where they say stir it 20 times and then you stop. Okay, hang on one second. We've got to add in the vanilla, but also we need to add in the we're also going to add in some buttermilk, so that's going to come as well. So vanilla, we need 2 teaspoons.
Yep.
Okay, and then the buttermilk, yep, just put it right in. And then our buttermilk, we've got half a cup that we're going to add in. There's different percentage of buttermilk that you can use. There's 1%, and I think there's around 3-ish%, 3 and a bit. Use whatever one you prefer. This recipe does not say that you need to use one over the other. Okay, so we've got the vanilla in, and now if we just follow along here, it says add the vanilla and add the buttermilk, and then we're going to beat it just a little bit longer. So I'm going to set this aside right there. So Alex, while I have this on, I want you to slowly pour that in, okay? You ready? Okay, let's hope nobody gets hit. All right. So, hang on one second here. Okay. All right. So what I would say to you, I find one of the secrets, this worked well, the cover, so it didn't splatter, but because this bowl is actually a little deeper, I actually didn't get as much splatter as I would have normally expected. So I actually really like that I used the deeper bowl, so if you have that option, you certainly can. As opposed to something like this. You can see, look at the difference in the height, and that made a big difference with how much it splattered. So anyway, just a little tip that to think about if you're going to ever have to mix something and it's a bunch of ingredients that you have to mix. You can do it that way. Okay, so now let's look at let's read the instructions. Oh my goodness, sorry. I'm getting old, I think. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, you better do that.
Gently stir the dry ingredients until just incorporated.
Okay, so there's that just incorporated, right? So you don't want to be stirring it. This is where if you have a younger person helping you out, you want to be guiding them. And I think sometimes we get a little overzealous that if we're given a task, so you want to make sure you're monitoring and helping them. Okay, that's enough or whatever. So Alex, do you want to do the stirring?
Sure.
Okay. And I'll do the dumping of this in. You can do this on your own. You don't need 2 people to do it. Because if you were by yourself, which I have made these by myself, I dump a little bit in, I start stirring, dump a bit more, stir some more. But there's 2 of us, so we're going to do this. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. So once you start putting this in, the cake starts reacting with itself. The wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. There's the baking powder that's in there, the eggs. They're going to start working together. And I'm going to dump the rest of this in, I think, now. Not too fast. It didn't say to fold, but so you're still stirring. So folding is when you're just lifting, but in this case it doesn't say to do that, it just says to stir. And we're just going to stir it so we get as much of these ingredients covered. And if there's even just a tiny bit of flour that doesn't get fully covered, it's okay. Okay, what do you think, love?
Yep.
Good? Okay. All right. We don't want to stir much more. So now what we're going to do is let's take out our cake, the pan that we've got prepared.
Is that enough?
It's going to be enough. Yeah, that's like before. When we've made it. It's just, it's a different bowl. Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you talking. You want me to dump that on there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready? Okay, so here's our mixture. Don't over stir it. Now I'm just going to put it on, and don't worry about getting it all perfect when you first put it in, okay? Just get it on the cake, or in the pan. I'm going to do in here. Whoa, look at that, eh? Okay, can you see that? Oh, here, maybe we'll want to have a look, eh? Okay, almost there. I like a spatula. You just can't get the bowl clean without having a spatula. That's all there is to it. Okay, and there we go. All right, Alex. So now I say I'll put it in there. Now she has to spread it out. So she's going to spread it out so it's as relatively even as you can. Get all the corners. You don't want to leave big spots open because, I mean, it's a cake, so you want the whole circle of the pan to be covered with some amount of this batter. Just put it into the sides there. Good. Now remember, this is the bottom of the cake. It's an upside down cake. So this is actually going to be the bottom of the cake. And then we're going to flip it later, and I'll show you how to do that. And what we have on the bottom right now is actually going to be the top of the cake. Okay, so that's the whole concept of an upside down cake. All right, so as even as you can. I think that's not too bad. I like to get every last ounce off of the spatula, just what I do. So there you go. So if you're making this with kids, they're usually, give them that opportunity to really come together to make this cake. If it's bumpy, it's bumpy. I mean, it's really about the experience, and then the taste will be the same whether it's bumpy or not. And I'm just gonna clean this off a little bit and just put it in spots in a second anyway. I'll put it in spots where we might need. So you can just have a little look over once you've got everything in and say, okay, where do we need some? So I think this is pretty good, eh, Alex? What do you think?
Not bad.
Yeah,
It's good.
Okay. Okay, so this cake is super delicious and tasty, and when it's cooking, it starts to show that it's tasty and delicious because it's going to start bubbling. So what you want to do, and then the things might start dripping off the side. So get yourself a sheet pan. So that's what we have here, and you're just going to set that down on top, and this will be there to catch anything that happens to bubble over. If you don't do that, you're going to have a lot of smoke, and it's going to be inside your oven, and it's going to smell. So you don't want to do that. So why should you do? What's that?
It's not fun to clean.
No, it's not. Right, Alex?
Yeah, I totally know.
Yeah, we've made these mistakes, so this is how we really know this. Even though we think we can figure it out, just do what the instructions say. All right? Okay, ready to go, Alex? You can do that. Alex has troubles. She doesn't like to put stuff in the hot stove, so I always try to make her try it out, especially at the beginning, and I'll sometimes take it out. And same with yourself. If you have any kids at your house that are helping out, just see what their comfort level is with the stove and help them out. Okay, so it's in the oven, and now we need to, the stove reached its right temperature a little while ago, so that's good. And now how long are we going to cook it for, Alex?
Between 40 to 45 minutes, so like start at 40-ish, I'd say. And then if it's not ready by then you can like slowly add more minutes to the timer.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to let that cook, and we're going to not make you watch the cake cook for 45 minutes. So we'll see you back in a few minutes once the cake is ready to go.
So by 40 minutes it wasn't really ready yet, so we put it in for another 5 minutes, and this is what it looks like. So it's done now. Now you just let it cool, and then we'll flip it in a bit.
How do you test it to know if it's done?
You can stick a toothpick through, and if anything comes like off the toothpick, then you know it's not ready. Or my mom just shakes it. I don't know if that works, but she thinks it works. So yeah, but I always use a toothpick, and that's how I know.
Okay, so the cake is ready. Once it came out of the oven, we actually leave it sit for 10 minutes, so that's the amount of time it's been sitting here. Now you got to get this upside down. So we're going to put it on the plate that I have, or a platter. So you want something that's obviously flat, and what you're going to do is you're going to put it on the bottom here. Remember, things are hot, so wear your gloves, not like I did earlier. And so all I'm going to do is pick up the item, you'll see here, and I'm just going to flip it. So ready? There we go. All right, so now I'm going to set this down, and this is still going to be fairly hot, so you want to wait a few minutes, let all the gooiness of what's inside come running down. So I just usually wait, I don't know, a couple minutes. Do we wait? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the honors?
I can.
It's kind of exciting, right? It's the fun part.
Watch as it doesn't work.
So we'll give this a whirl here.
No.
Hopefully it works. This is the magical moment. Okay, did it work? Did it work? Let's see. Was it coming out? Oh, boom. Right into there.
It worked.
Have a look at that. Woo! Look at the steam coming off of that. Can you see it? So there you go. This is your peach upside down cake. And it is tasty. I can tell you that already. Yum. Mm-hmm. So let it cool a bit because you don't want to burn your mouth. And then you can start serving it. It's sweet enough and tasty enough. I just eat it like that. Some people will put a little bit of whipping cream, or what did Uncle Pat have the other day?
Ice cream.
Oh, he put ice cream on his. So it's really whatever you prefer. I always, the first time I try something or make something, I like to just try it like that to make sure I know how much I like it and if I want to make any changes. So this is the cake.
It looks better with more peaches for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah. It's very tasty. All right, so enjoy. Thank you.